Good morning, everyone.
Good
Give
morning.
me,
Good morning.
give me a, give me about 3 to 5 minutes. I need to get this YouTube going in the department. Hold on 1 second. So we are streaming live. So if you don't want someone to hear something, don't say it at this time because we already live. One second. Let some people in. Right. Just need to make sure it's playing on the outside. Give me 1 second. Let's go to the other side. Oh boy. Just do me a favor, say good morning in the chat. Put your name, your title, and your chapter. I'll be right back. Thank you. Oh, what's the password? Yes. Oh, is it all got Wi-Fi? Oh, does it have password and I can't remember? Yeah. Good morning.
Good
Did
morning.
you hear that? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh no, I was asking. Okay, thank you. You're not the TV. Oh, you said not through the TV? Good morning. Do you hear that? Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. So go right on in there. I'm gonna stream from here. That like got like 15 people on. I need to make sure it shares properly. And then sit after the TV. It's a little delay right here. Okay. Okay, there we go.
I see you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Peekaboo, right? Good morning. My name is Monica Lamb. Of course, everybody probably already knows me. And for those who do not, I am the department treasurer. Let me share my screen. But before I share my screen, I also have the department adjutant here with me. Miss Joyce, if you could do me a favor and in the chat, I had everyone put their name. Let me see. So good morning. We have Commander Andy Miller, Chapter 5. We have Treasurer Steve Curlis, Chapter
Hoorah.
12. Uh-oh. Mr. Card, the adjutant, chapter 12. We have Department Commander Tom Walton. We have, but I don't know your titles. So do me a favor, come off of mute and state your name, your chapter, and your title so we can record it. Let's see. We have
Leon Good, chapter 42 Greenwood, first senior vice.
okay, hey, Mr. Leon. Miss Louise Slater, which title and chapter? You're on mute. Okay, we have Commander Rob Clark, chapter 20. I think Comrade who else we have? Okay, good. So that's all we have right now. All right, so if you come in the room, just make sure that you put your name, your title, and your chapter in the chat. All right, cool. At this time, everyone should be able to see my screen. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, just give you a little quick agenda. I am going to go over the annual financial report on guide information on my DAV.org. I'm also going to share on the DAV.org website the quick links. So some of you are very familiar with where to find the financial report kit and some are new, very new to it. It's a pretty simple process. So give me a thumbs up if you already have a login to mydav.org. If you do not have a ID and password to mydav.org, come off of mute and let me know at this time, because that means I need to back up to the beginning stages of how to get a login, ID and password.
I don't have an ID and password. This is Comrade Griffin, chapter 20.
Okay. All right, Mr. Griffin. Let me back this thing up then. All right. So the first place you want to go is DAV.org. If you're following on your own PC or laptop device or phone, you go to DAV.org, DAV.org. You can go to the menu tab, scroll down and go to member resources. And then you scroll down and you should see where it says registration or sign in to mydav.org. If you're signing in for the first time, you would click register. Oh, of course, I'm already signed in. Let me sign out so you can see what it looks like. You should see, so if this is your first time, you would click new user registration. Now, you want to use, when you click new user registration, you want to use with the email that you signed up with DAV, if you remember. You should see So
you don't get a hard stop.
registration.
And the rest is self-explanatory. Your name, first name, last name, phone number, your address. Make sure you got your membership available because you'll need your membership number.
If you were to get it. So you don't get a lot of stuff.
Create yourself a username,
And
the password, and then you hit submit.
phone number, your address. Make sure you get the membership available. If you need to remember it.
All right, let me go back so I can actually log in.
Treat yourself in your name. Password.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta stop sharing real quick because I'm going to do my password. I sure don't want anybody going into my account. Let's see. Let me stop sharing. So I'm gonna log in.
Okay, I gotta stop sharing.
Hold on. 1 second. Make sure you write your password in a good location that you can find it. Forgive me for talking slow, but I want to make sure that everybody can follow and that I don't speed race because I have a tendency to talk too fast. All right, so I'm logged in and I'm gonna share again. I recommend that if you have line officers, that everyone at a minimum on the line can log into mydav.org and make sure your chapter members can log in it as well, because DAV is moving to electronics or online submissions only. And as you can see on the screen, not only do you have your annual finance report information, there's a nice user guide manual here that you can download and you can share with your comrades in your chapter, right? You have your membership profile that will tell you your information. You could get your member number if you lost your member card, or if you don't no longer have that email you signed up with, that's there. You can change your user ID, username and password if you need to update it. You have your full service record that you can add here. So it doesn't pull in your military service record from your service, but if you add the information, it'll be here for you. That's useful to your chapters in your department when it's time to do resolutions. Then you have your membership payment history. This is when you making when you're paying your dues to the DAV. If you need a new membership card, you can request it here as well. This is where you can put in those chapter members who is no longer here, who has transitioned. You can also do membership transfers here. You could do officer election reports there as well. View them, print a copy, or submit a new one. So if you have changes in your chapter, you can do it there. But that's not why we're here this morning. We're here to talk about the annual finance report. So many of you all may be already familiar with the hard copy of the annual finance report. Now we have an electronic version that, as of the National Convention, is to be submitted online. Here you can see some of the chapters who've already submitted their annual finance report. So what that tells me is it is not a difficult process. It's actually pretty user-friendly, right? And that's chapter 12, 19, and chapter 20. So high five to those individuals who have already submitted their annual financial report. Whoop. I can't. Right. So if you're new and you want to submit yours, you just go to create a new report.
And this chapter 12, 19, and chapter 20. So I got to
You select your department, which will only show up for you as Department of South Carolina 39. You select your respective chapter. So I'll select my chapter. Right. Then you go to the accounting period, which is already pre-filled, which is July 1st, 2023 to June 30, 2024. Your beginning balance, if you're new and you've never done this before, then your beginning balance would be your ending balance on your previous year's annual financial report.
already pre-filled.
And you would enter the dollar amount here.
June 30.
Income tab. So the online report it mimics your hard copy report, right? And so you just go through the tabs, refilling your expenses, refilling your checking information if you have a CD or money market, putting your account information. If you have other assets, which is usually scheduled for is that asset document in the hard copy. That's this information here. And then the attachments will be your schedules. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm actually gonna go to the hard copy. Any questions? Well, let me go back. Any questions on, and there's a user guide as well that will walk you exactly through the same steps. If you have a hard time getting into mydav.org, I could, if you don't already have it, I can share Mr. Doug. I'm about to say Doug Hart because he's on the call, but I'll get the name. I'll share the person's name who you reach out to help you with your user ID and password. So any questions so far before I move on?
Monica,
Yes, sir.
was that Doug Wells you were thinking of?
Doug Wells, yes. Thank you.
Okay, number two. I see it says that Beaufort has already submitted its annual financial report, but we haven't actually submitted it. We started it, and you can see it's saved.
Yeah.
So I just want to point that out because you can start it and go back to it.
Thank you very much. And he's right. So he's right here where it shows your status. So they've made a nice attempt to go in, probably browse around, see what has to happen, and then they'll come back and they'll finish out their report. So 19 is the highest speed who's actually went all the way through and submitted.
Well done.
Whoop, whoop. So you have until September the 30th, 2024 to actually submit that report. Okay. Any other questions?
Monica, one other comment.
Yes.
I think when they sign on, the password has to be changed every 6 months. Is that correct?
I haven't, oh, you're talking about for mydav.org? Yes. Okay, so yes, when you go in, it will prompt you to reset your password. So it doesn't allow you to continue your password forever and ever and ever. Okay, so make sure you remember to write your password down somewhere where you can go back and retrieve it. If you forget your password, you can always do a forgot password and reset it. Okay. So thanks, Mr. Doug. So you guys should be squared away. If you have an issue and you need some help, just reach out and touch. All right.
Comrade Lamb,
Yes.
my question is, who has access to this report? Is it just the treasurer?
Your commander, those who have access to mydav.org, it's a view. They can view the reports. What's your
Is the
concern?
treasurer the only person who can create it?
No.
Work on it?
If you're a line officer, you can get on the chapter's mydav.org. Now, have you all your line officers in your chapter? Have you all signed up for mydav.org?
I'm the treasurer. Yes, I can get into mydav.org. I know the commander can. I don't know who else can. My question is, if I go in to do this, I'm just asking who else has access to it.
It's probably going to be a process of elimination and try, but I don't think that. I know for ours. Hold on, let's go to the user guide and see if it says that. Hold up, let's find out. We'll find out together. How about that?
Okay.
So here's the user guide for the annual finance report. Here we go. Let's see what it says. Welcome to mydav.org annual finance report. The annual finance report has transitioned to online form. It is now another one of those functions accessible through the membership CRM page on mydav.org. If you haven't already registered for login credentials, mydav.org, or if you need help logging in, utilize the tools available on the member resource site on dav.org. And I'll show you where that's at. Or, well, they'll talk through it right here. You just go to dav.org, you click member resources, you scroll down. I love the DAV now. They put pictures, so we can't assume where it's at. You can actually just follow either you're a visual person, you're an audio person, or you like to read. Stroll down to register, sign in, mydav.org section. We just went over that. If you're logging in for the first time, you register. If you've already logged in before and created a user ID, you click sign in. If you have an issue or concern, you can go to the mydav.org manual and walk through it, read through it. And if you still have an issue, then we can contact Mr. Doug Wells. Click the appropriate button. Again, you're either registering, you're logging in, or you're reading the manual. The annual financial report is an online form available for your department or chapter through the membership CRM page. To get access, you click the membership CRM page on mydav.org. That's the membership tab. We showed you that earlier. Keep going. So we are looking for who all have access. See email notifications guide to ensure that you receive the message related to your annual finance report via your preference or your email. That's the email that you submitted when you signed up. You click the annual finance report right there, as we talked about. This is the landing page. Let's keep it going. Let's see if it talks about it. All right. A, create a new report button. It opens a blank form for completion. C, work on annual financial report in this guide for assistance. If you click refresh to review the most updated details in the list as necessary, a list of the annual financial reports currently in process in the system based on your role. Once the list grows, you can filter or sort to location to locate the appropriate record. To view the status for your annual finance report in this column, you have the saved in the status, and that represents it is in a process that has been started but not yet finalized. This allows you to work on a report over time without losing what has been completed. The locked by, an in-process report that an individual has temporarily made unavailable for edits by others. Submitted report, a report has been sent for approval. While in this status, no additional changes can be made. Rejected, a report contains errors that must be resolved. That's in the status column. The actions. This column indicates that you can interact with the report. You can edit. This is to update previously entered information, completely empty fields, or a final review before submitting the form for review. View opens a read-only report for the chosen record. Review, chapter reports submitted and ready for appropriate department approval authority to review based on user roles. Choose to show 5 to 10 are all available annual reports in the table by changing the number of entries. Use search fields to find annual financial reports for a particular year. For example, if you type 2022 in the field, 2 records, 2021 through 2022 and 2022 to 2023 will be displayed. Create a new report or continue working with an in-process one. So that's where you click create a new report. You'll see the landing page. Let's keep going. So you fill in all of the different tabs. Let's keep going. Let's see if it says anything about
What?
All right, so I may have to ask. The VA will call me now. Darn it. I would have to probably ask that question because I don't see it here. This is new, so I would suspect only the line officers, like for the department, the only person that can edit. You have to have my DAV.org to view, but to edit, I have to ask that question because I don't see it here. Let's
Okay,
see.
thank you.
Monica,
Unless someone else on the call knows already. Yes, sir.
I just, it seems, I don't know what Andy's point was, but I understand. My thinking is that you wouldn't want somebody else to come in and make changes. But I think that's what the lock program does, isn't it? If you go to lock it, for
Right.
instance, if I'm doing an annual report, I can lock it. And then other people can come in and can see it, but they can't make changes.
Gotcha. Okay, so I see where it has, thank you, Mr. Doug. And I see where it has primary, which would be the email, I suspect, of the treasurer who started the report. And then you would have to add, but I'm not sure if this is a open deal. So the lock feature is available, and I will confirm if the initiator locks it, no one else can add it by contacting nationals. How about that?
Okay, and the reason I was asking is because we never know if someone gets sick or something happens. If I go in and I start it and I lock it and I'm in the hospital, what happens? So I'm just trying to figure out who has access so we understand the process. That's all.
That's fine, and that's a legitimate question. So for classroom purposes, I would say no one starts a report unless you know you're going to finish it at the same time at that day. Otherwise, we could come into this situation. So like when I do my annual finance reports, I don't touch the forms until I know I got everything ready to rock and roll and I want to complete it at time. However, with that being said, I will get you a legitimate answer straight from Nationals. How about that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions before I switch this?
So is it my understanding that anybody that's on the officer report that's submitted for the chapter to department would have access to my DAV? Access to this information?
I suspect right now, however, that's not a concrete answer because I don't see it in the manual. I have to confirm with Nationals.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Money question,
Yes, sir.
this report, can you print a paper copy out to do your draft of it so you don't have so many errors on it?
So
Before you put it in, before you type it in?
oh, hold on. Let me log back into it. Oh, let me go back to the manual. Hold up. There's a view here that you can print. So when you view it, you can print it off. So what I would do in that case, I would use the manual copy here. When you go to, hold on, let me back up. So if you logged on to DAV.org for the first time, you could go to the menu, click member resources, go to quick links. On quick links, you go to elect officer resources, and then you click on annual finance report kit.
Okay, it's under the kit. Okay.
Yes, on the kit, if you scroll down, right here, go to page, what page is that? 17. You can print the hard copy and you can write your numbers there first. And then once you have everything you need, then you could go to mydav.org and submit your documents.
Okay.
Oh, question?
Yes, ma'am.
So shouldn't we fill it out and print it off and then get it signed?
Oh, the signatures are not required anymore. However, the membership numbers needs to be submitted. Now, for my chapter 4, I'm gonna do it just for GP, just so that we would have accountability. But it's the discretion of the chapter, and National's not requiring it.
Yeah.
So, I can't make that call, but I know for chapter 4, we're gonna have some signatures, and that's just checks and balances. But when you put it
No,
into the system,
I did my financial report on paper and it's already signed. I just didn't know if we needed to upload that portion or something, but if it's not required, then I guess not.
no,
Monica,
it's not required. Yes, ma'am. That call, but I know for chapter 4, we're gonna have signatures, and that's just checks and balances. But when you put it into the system,
I did my financial report on paper and it's already signed. I just didn't know if we needed to upload that portion or something, but if it's not required, then I guess not.
Monica,
yes, ma'am.
shouldn't
I know for chapter 4, we're gonna have signatures.
Shouldn't everybody be keeping physical copies of them anyway for your financial records?
Yes, ma'am.
I just didn't know if we needed to upload that portion.
Go ahead and mute, but yes. Yes, ma'am. So, Commander Miller is exactly right. You should keep your financial reports on file for record, because we still have accountability to the general accounting principles, which is keeping financial records for 7 years. However, Nationals has already put out that you don't have to have signatures And I can't go fight a whole bunch of chapters about why y'all didn't get signatures when the people at the top told them they didn't have to have them. And I think every commander was at conventions except for 2 of us. So just for, in-house purposes, if I was you, I would actually get the signatures and I would definitely keep it on file, because if something comes down the pipeline in the future, you would have accountability, proper accountability. I don't know why when someone would not want to get signatures, but hey, it's to the discretion of the chapter. So, and I haven't received anything from our department that has a different rule than nationals. So as it stands right now, nationals is the top dog. But in chapter 4, y'all getting signatures, don't get no ideas. All right. All right. So there's no more questions about the online filing, which mimics the hard copy. I want to go. So here's my interpretation, not only just making it easy accessible and eliminate the paper trail, is that now nationals will have full transparency of your annual finance reports. And so there's a few rules that we need to remember when it comes to reporting or maintaining funds for your chapters. So it says the annual finance report kit is now only available as a tool to assist you in preparing your financial information by category and format as required by national headquarters. Hard copies are emailed. Digital PDF copies of the AFRs will no longer be accepted by nationals. Please don't send your finance reports to nationals. It is not required. AFRs must be submitted using the AFR online submission form accessible through your membership CRM page at mydav.org. The AFR kit has been updated to follow suit by the AFR online submission form. To ensure that you are using the correct AFR kit provided by National, use the AFR kit available on DAV.org by navigating to memberships, quick links, elected officer resources, and annual financial report kit. Your accounting year, July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. For all departments and chapters provided by the national bylaws. Due date, no later than September 30th. All department or chapter that has not submitted the annual finance report online submission form by September 30th will be considered in a delinquent status, which may subject the department and chapter to suspension or revocation of its chapter. Note that a saved AFR is not considered a submitted AFR. All right, along with this, your submission to nationals, I need to go to another area while I'm talking about submissions and being late. If you Googled 501c3 lookup and you went to tax exempt organization search, and you went to tax exempt organization search tool and search for tax exempt organizations, either you have your chapter's EIN number. Let's see, I have a list. Or if you search by, you could put organization name and you could put in disabled American veterans and hit search. As you can see, we have a whole lot of chapters, right? So what you can do to narrow it down, go to state and click South Carolina and hit search again. This list will show you department, chapters, and units. So we have 66. If you went to your chapter, let's see who this one is.
South Carolina.
All right, so if you have less than $50,000, you would have filed the 990N, right? And it would show here. So this must be the department. Or if you have more than 50,000, you will file a 990 and its schedules, right? If you looked here, let me go to somebody who, so this, the department is in good standing. If you don't see 23 because it hasn't been filed yet, but if I go back, let me hit the back button. So what I have to do is go through each chapter and make sure that you have not been revoked. I ain't picking on nobody. I just want to, okay. So I'm gonna use this one as an example, right? If you go to your list and you put in your chapter and you don't see a date right here where it's been reinstated and you only see a revocation date, you need to go back to mydav.org, go to the quick links, stroll down. Let's see, where's it at? Hold on. There's some instructions. Oh, here it is. So when you go to quick links, let me close this in so you can see it. So instead of going to elected officer resources, you would go to IRS reinstatement. And these are and it will teach you how to do it. If you are uncomfortable with filling out the reinstatement, then you need to let me know so I can do it for you. However, your chapter is gonna have to pay $600. Okay, and that's the price we pay for not filing on time to the IRS. You have to file your 990s 3 years. If you miss 3 consecutive years, they will revoke you. Okay, and you could see the frequently asked questions here and where to go. So there's a whole list of what you need to do to get that done, to get it reinstated. All right. If you went past, I think it's 18 months. If you have not, okay, let's say you were revoked, your chapter was revoked, and it's past 18 months. You have to refile the entire tax exempt status. If you still within the 18 months, then you pay, oh, I'm sorry, it's not 18, it's 15 months. Then I think the fee is a little cheaper. But here's the instructions right here. So don't miss the filing date. Make sure you file it on time. Now, this usually happens when maybe you just have a lack of knowledge on the 990, or you're new as a treasurer, you never did it before, you stepped in a position to help the chapter out, you wasn't given any previous guidance on what to do. Maybe that person has transitioned, no one in the chapter kind of knows, it kind of slips by you, and we understand. However, you're still gonna have to pay that filing fee. We can't pay it for you, okay? So we can just help you get it all filed. But this is the form that you're going to complete, a 1024A. All right. Any questions? Anybody who needs to refile, it's okay. If you do, you can reach out to myself or the adjutant, and we'll try to get you squared away.
When is the 990 due in?
So before November 15th is the latest. So you have 4 months. So it's due. So our fiscal year ends June the 30th. So you usually have 4 months from that day, which is November 15th, somewhere around that point. And the 990, let me go back. So if you search, hold on, let me go back to Google, make it easy for you. If you search 990 in filing, sometimes the system won't allow you to get in, and there's a workaround. You just would have to pay. So you go to new 990 in filing. Let me go back. Go to this one. Electronically filing. You scroll down. You hit submit 990 in. And these instructions is on the site as well. As you know, all government websites are using these ID logins. So either you have a login.gov account or you have an ID Me account. If you don't have one, you have to create one. And then it would allow you to go in and file your 990. And it's pretty simple. Let me see if the instructions is on the site. So one of these forms. Don't have one, you have to create one. And then it would allow you to go in and I'll find it and I'll send it out. But the 990 kit on how to file it, it's pretty simple. Once you sign in, you just put your EIN, then it'll populate your chapter name, and you click it, and it'll ask you, do you have over 50,000? If you say yes, it will give you a hard stop, tell you to file a 990 or 990 EZ. If you say no, you just click submit. It gives you a printout. You print it for your file, and you keep it on your records. All right, let me go back to, all right. Any questions on filing your 990? Let's keep the party rolling. So for the department, all departments are required to file an annual financial report with the Nationals via the AFR online submission form, regardless of the amount of gross income. So that's at the department level. So for those of you aspiring to be on the department line, that's information that you need to know. For the chapters, all chapters are required to file an AFR via the AFR online submission form through your membership CRM page, regardless of the amount of gross receipts. When your report is submitted via the AFR online submission form, it will be submitted on both national and your state department. Gross receipts above $25,000, excluding all funding received from national and in-kind donations. If the total income on line 10 minus any amounts on lines 1 and 7 of the completed AFR form is more than $25,000, the review and approval of your AFR will be completed by nationals. Gross receipts of $25,000 or below, excluding all funding received from national and in-kind donations, if the total income on line 10 minus any amounts on lines 1 and 7 of the completed AFR form is $25,000 or less, the review and approval of your AFR will be completed by your state department. All right, so those of you guys who have 25,000 or more, you know the rules. Those of you who have less, pretty familiar. Department and chapters. Gross income exceeding 300,000, excluding all funding received from nationals and in-kind donations. If the total income on line 10 minus any amounts on line 1 and 7 of the completed AFR exceeds 300,000, a review by a certified public accountant is required. The completed CPA review report is to include the basic supporting backup document, statement of revenues, expenditures, assets, and statement of cash flows. The actual review must be accompanied by a completed financial report and all additional required information. So for those of you who high speed out there and you have exceeded 300,000, you must get a CPA to audit your financials. That audit is independent and it will cost. So, and nationals don't pay for it. Let's see. Commander Walton, got your hand up. Hi.
Good morning. First, thank you for doing this, Monica. I appreciate it. Just to upspeed, this has not been updated. That number has changed from 300,000 to 500,000. Just got passed at the national convention. I just wanted to make sure I passed that along.
High five. That saved a few, you guys. Save some money. Because those audits, thank you, Commander Walton, those audits are like 15 to 20K in some cases. And so, you know, some people probably, the actual A133 audit number is like 750. So eventually they'll probably get up to that number. So that 500,000 or previous 300,000 was a number that nationals actually probably preferred. But the as the IRS changed their numbers, nationals changed theirs. So thank you, Commander Walton, for that update. Report submission. Only online submissions of the AFR made through the membership CRM system will be accepted by nationals. AFRs, along with all required supporting documentations, are to be submitted to nationals and appropriate DAV State Department via the AFR online submission form available through your membership CRM page at mydav.org. Chapters unable to submit a AFR via the AFR online submission form should contact the DAV State Department for assistance. The contact information for your DAV State Department can be found at dav.org by navigating to find a DAV location, locate chapter, click on here, link in blue, click on the department and chapters, and click on link for your department. Additional following requirements and information. Properly allocate building expenses. If the same building is used for multiple operations, allocations should be made according to how often the building is used for each specific operation. For example, a bar/lounge operation that is open 7 days a week would have higher operational costs, parentheses, utilities, janitorial, insurance, etc., than a chapter office that is open 3 days a week and chapter meetings held once a month. See allocations, explanation, and schedule example on page 14 for additional information. Cost of goods sold must be included on the financial report as it is the beginning inventory plus purchases made minus the ending the inventory, which is not an actual cash disbursement. Only the actual inventory purchases made during the accounting period should be reported. Transfer of funds, including cashing in or buying a CD, must be reported on the financial report. A transfer of funds is just moving money from the department chapter already had from one bank account to another bank account. The actual transfer is not income as the department chapter already had the money as an asset, nor is it an expense as the money was not spent and dispersed. Only income actually earned and received and money actually spent and dispersed during the accounting period should be reported. This part right here, sometimes okay, so in the last few years, you may have your revenue may have decreased in your chapters, and maybe you have money in your savings or in your money market or your CDs, and you transferred money over. This is what this is talking about. When you move that money over back into your operating account, you don't count it again. That's what that means. And so sometimes this is just good fiscal management to make sure that the income that you're receiving in your chapters or your department, that you're not overspending that amount. So it's good fiscal practice to make sure that what you receive for that year, you don't exceed that amount in expenditures. So even though you have the money in your money markets and your CDs and your savings, that's fine. And it is there for you to spend. However, good fiscal management is to understand the revenues coming in and ensure that you don't overspend for that fiscal year. Depreciation of fixed assets, that's your real estate and your equipment, must not be listed on the financial report. That's an additional form. If you was looking at the hard copy, you would see an additional page for your assets. Fixed assets such as real estate, furniture, equipment, vehicles, and inventory and miscellaneous must be reported separately on an other asset schedule form included in this kit. It's on hard copy, and if you notice on the online version, there was its own separate tab. Copies of recognition letters from all organizations and individuals, excluding needy veterans and families of veterans, having received their donations from the department and chapter during the accounting period are required. If recognition letters are not available, copies of canceled checks clearly showing the recipient and reasons for the donation for each may be provided. So this line right here, if you're given to needy veterans, and there is a, let me show you.
Oh, come on.
Online, there is a form. Where is it at? Right here. Financial assistance form. If you don't have one already, then you can use the DAV form. This is where you would have that veteran. You put that veteran's name. You put the reason for the grant. You put the dollar amount or gift card. You know how some of you guys still doing gift cards. You have them sign, commander and or adjutant sign, and you put the date. And you can use this form as your proof of donation. If you've given out, let's say you're like, okay, Mo, disaster hit. We're just trying to help veterans. We got out of the field. We just started, our chapter approved it. We went out, we wrote checks. What do we do now? Hopefully you wrote checks and not gift cards, because at this point you can go to your bank, you can get a copy of the checks, and you can use that as proof of who you gave to. Okay? Don't forget. Remember, everything's transparent now. Before, you all was submitting those reports in straight to the department on hard copy, and you may not have gotten asked, or you may have just gotten overlooked. But now all of this information is going directly to nationals. So if it's not something you have been doing, then just make sure you go ahead and you start to do it now.
Comrade Lamb.
Yes, sir.
Our chapter gives out like maybe 3 different gift cards to the volunteers at the hospital. Am I hearing you saying that we should do checks and not gift cards, or what exactly did I just hear?
Well, we shouldn't be doing gift cards at all. However, are you speaking of the gift cards we give the youth service program?
Yes, ma'am.
You get a letter back from VAVS stating that they've received your $300 contribution to gift cards. You should be receiving that back, right?
Right.
Right. Use that.
So in that case, we can do cards.
Right. For the youth, yeah, we give those to the VAVS program. And the only reason is because that is a DAV program. So DAV funds, and I'll share you that memo. DAV funds are to be spent on DAV programs unless you're given to a needy veteran or their family members, right? In this case, you're issuing the gift cards to the VAVS, and VAVS is issuing those gift cards during a ceremony for those kids who volunteered in the summer program. They, in return, give you a receipt and a letter acknowledging receipt of those funds. You can use that as your proof of those gift cards. When I speak of the gift cards, I'm speaking of those chapters who are issuing our gift cards and have no acknowledgement of who received those gift cards.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Be prepared to substantiate the reported income or expenses with receipts, cancel checks, or other supporting documentation. That's what we're referring to now. If you received funds in, 9 out of 10, it came with a letter of some sort stating that, hey, here's a donation of $1,000, or here's a grant of $1,000, or here's or you did an in-kind, someone did cash in-kind, and you gave them receipt or an acknowledgement letter for their donation. For expenditures going out, you helped the veteran pay their utilities. In return, they gave you a copy of their utility bill and they signed stating that they received that support. Cancel checks. If you wrote the check for the utilities, then the veteran wasn't available for signature. You just use that copy of that check as proof that you wrote the check to that vet for some particular support, or maybe to a family member for bereavement or other causes that may have happened. Other supporting documentation, other than a receipt, would be that form that I just showed you. So this one. Good habit to have is to have the form anyway, unless you create your own. Case in point example, we had a grant. Chapter 4 had a grant for cleaning common areas for veterans with a dollar amount up to $250. We created a form. We had the veteran complete it. We had the individual organization who did perform the work sign, the veteran sign, the commander sign, and the treasurer sign. Then the other support, we had pictures to show proof that the work was actually done, and the invoice for whomever was paid. And so that's an example of other support and documentation. Basically proof of who issued the check, who received the check, and and that's it. Or income, who issued the income, you received it, and now you're acknowledging it back that, hey, I got your money. Let me back up a little bit. If you are volunteering, we volunteer at Seagull Park, the baseball field for the Fireflies. We volunteer. I keep a list of those who volunteer. Seagull Park in return issues a check. I keep a copy of the check, a list of the volunteers, and we make the deposit. That's proof, and we issue them back an acknowledgement letter saying that, hey, we received whatever the dollar amount is. That's an example. If you're volunteering at USC football stadium, or maybe you're receiving money for donation in kind from other organizations, then you're issuing them back an acknowledgement. Like some organizations have donors out there who give them funding. We receive funds from a corporation. They gave 12,000, and we took the funds and we donated it to the Foundation to Help Veterans. So we issued back an acknowledgement letter to that corporation and said, thank you for your donation of the 12K. Here's our acknowledgement. Here's our EIN for your tax write-off. Keep it pushing. So those are the support. Very, very important to acknowledge funds received and disbursements. There's no such thing that nobody wants to sign. If they don't want to sign, then they don't want support. Take your fiscal management serious. Annual finance report. All right. So let's just stroll down. Cut to the chase. Now, what I love about the DAV, they spell out everything and they have an example for every line. So you can't go wrong, right? So every line item has an explanation to who, what, or why, what those funds should be used for. Let me stroll down. I'll skip the lines and I'm gonna go to the schedules because it makes it a little bit easier to explain it. All right, here we go. Here's the schedules. When you're completing your schedules, and I know sometimes you guys get upset because some people, they just want to do it their way, but it doesn't make it easier for the auditor or the reader. Follow the example that National has. Very simple. Write schedule over the top. Write the line item, scheduled line item. You can put line 1, and then you schedule out the dollar amounts, right? Usually for us, we usually have line 9. Where is it at? It's not on here, but they're probably putting line 9 is usually a lot of the they changed it up on us. So pay attention to this now. So now you have the fundraisers over here on line 21. It used to be on line 9. So go through this schedule and make sure that you're putting the descriptions where they need to go. And then they kind of outline it out for you and you can find out where you need to go. I know some organizations are still doing forgive me nots and they're getting income. That's line 2. Let's see. You don't have no salaries. Nobody should be getting. So here we go. A lot of it should be probably, let's see, chapter donations. So line 9, let me go back up. Oh, down. So line 9 is other income. So if the income received doesn't fall under one of these, then it'll go on line 9. And that's usually, like I said, I had an outside organization to donate. So that we put on line 9 and who they were. Our Seagull Park donations, we put on line 9. And things of that nature. So most of your income is probably going on line 9, unless you got the dollar amount that was deposited in your account from Nationals. It's usually on line 1. For the department, I sometimes get the interest from the CD. We put that on line 6. And sometimes we have, when someone transitions, they will leave their whatever donations that someone is giving to their family, they'll leave it to the DAV of South Carolina. I usually put that there. And our money market information we put there. So the income is pretty simple. Again, go back to your schedules. If you have an unusual, there it goes. This is what I was looking for, line 9. So your fundraising, not sure why they had it on 21, but usually your fundraising. If members donate, I think sometimes you all get members donations, whether you're using it for chapter meals, if it hits your bank account, make sure you highlight it and put who the member is. Any businesses out there that gives you, make sure you highlight it. And don't just put their name and a dollar amounts. Label what it is. And it makes it easier for us to understand where your funds are coming from, right? If they're non-members and they donate, put that on there, and so on and so on. All right. Now you'll notice in your annual finance kit, you have a separate form, which are the schedules. These are the programmatic funds. You have your VA medical centers. That's usually like Thorne VA, Ralph Lauren, Greenville. You got the Orangeburg. Those outpatients, if they gave a donation, it would go there. Or if you gave them a donation, it would go there. Then you'd have, if you did any state veteran programs, you would put that there. VAVS. So your donation at $300 to VAVS for the gift cards, it would go on Schedule 14. Your service programs, you have, let me see if it's listed separately. So for us, that would be our HSCs, the hospital. If you've donated to the regional office, VSO, then you would put that there. We don't pay any salaries. Oh, is HSCs right here. So we have a contractors of our HSCs. We would have that there. If you all donated to them, you would have it there. Direct straight to families. Again, if it's rent, utilities, funerals, you would put it there. And that sometimes people get confused and they don't fill out their Schedule 14. Or maybe you haven't donated to any of the medical facilities or VAVS, but you've given to needed vets. Make sure you put that on your Schedule 14. And this is just merely type, but that number would be on line 14, so it should agree. And then there are other schedules. As I stated, if you're doing something unusual that hasn't been done in the past, come and check the schedule, and usually you can read through it and find out where it belongs. Let me stroll through here. Again, there's a checklist for your annual finance report to make sure that you've covered everything. All right. First thing first, make sure you're using the correct form. Well, you won't have to worry about that anymore unless it's just for on-file purposes, because you will be completing your annual finance report in the system. But when you do your hard copy, make sure you get it from the website, because as you can see, that form is constantly changing. And as Commander Walton pointed out earlier, the $300 threshold has changed to $500. So this form will change again next year. Don't get complacent and make copies and just pass it on, because the form has changes to it. And you want to make sure you have it right. You want to make sure you're using the correct accounting period. Now, where's that important also? When you upload your supporting documents, one of the documents that is needed is your June 30th bank statement. That's going to be June 30th, 2024. June 30th, 2024. Okay. That number will support your ending balance. Your July 1st, 2023 will support your beginning balance. So we talked about that. Let's see. So you could go through this checklist and make sure you have everything on here before you hit that submit button. All right. Because if not, they're going to kick it back and they're going to ask for it. All right. So you can go through the checklist. All right. So here's the form. if you're filling out the hard copy, you put your chapter name. In my case, it will be the Department of South Carolina, because it's where you are. Put your city and state where you are. And remember, this line right here is 2023 to 2024. Make sure you put the correct dates. And then you go through and you fill it out. Now, if you're filling a hard copy out and these numbers don't, make sure you use a calculator. Make sure it adds your numbers up. Sometimes the hard copy has a tendency and it'll throw your number off by a few cents. All right. If that happens, what I normally do, I just delete it out and then I'll print it and I'll write it in to make sure it agrees, or I'll type the correct number. So just make sure you use the calculator to keep it on file. Make sure it's correct. You should still get your annual finance report audited. Although the signature is not required, you should still get it audited. Make sure you got the member numbers so that when you submit the information in the system, you have everything that you need. Don't forget to put in the bank and the address and the signature signers. That's important. Sometimes that's left blank. This is new. They did a schedule specifically for line 9. Interesting. This is new. So you would also schedule out your line 9. Schedule out your line 14, as we talked about before. As I stated, they always give an explanation of what you need. Now, sometimes when you're doing the needed vets, depending on the dollar amount, they may ask you for that person's name. Or they may come back and ask for additional information if you didn't include it. Let's say you only included the veteran's copy of the cancer check. They may ask and you didn't include the support. So, for example, one time they had the disaster in Florence and we supported a veteran who house was destroyed and had to move in a hotel. We supported that veteran. We had to submit the hotel receipts for the entire time, not just the checks that went to the hotel. So that's just an example of sometimes they will ask for additional documentation. So just make sure you have it all on standby. And if they ask for it, you have it ready available to submit. Now you have expenses for Schedule 16. These are for individuals who are have payroll. Maybe they're paying for licenses and permits and things of that nature. So they're detailing it out a little bit more. So as you can see from last year and this year, the annual finance report kit has changed. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, can you just upload the supporting documents anyways, instead of, just waiting to see if they'll come back to ask
Yes,
for
ma'am.
them? Can you just do the whole packet?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Doug, you have something?
My question is.
Okay, keep the party rolling. So they're breaking out looks like majority of the schedules now. Even got line 17, line 18, line 19. These are the frequently used line items. Here's the asset form that we spoke about earlier for your buildings and your equipment, things of that nature. And there it is. That's the annual finance report. Now, what I want to do, if you have some questions, I'm going to switch and I'm going to go through this PowerPoint again really fast. Let me stop sharing. Let me get the PowerPoint real quick. And these are just best practices for the DAV and their finances. Let me just download the training. And this information was at some point or another shared by the IG at one of the either national conventions or midwinter. Again, if you came in after we started the class, make sure you put your name and title and chapter in the chat so we can account for you. Now, this PowerPoint, if you want it, just let me know. And I'll send it to the adjutant. Matter of fact, don't even worry about it. I'll just send it to the adjutant and make sure that she gets it out to the commanders and the commanders will shift it out to you all. All right, let me share my screen again. Second. This is one of those documents that you want to keep. Oh, hold on. Before I do that, let me share this real quick. I created this little document for the audits, or actually came from the checklist. Basically, some of it copied and pasted, just so that your audit committee can make sure that they have everything. So if you want this document, I'll send it to you. Well, it's just a reminder. And then when they're going through the audit, to document, so that if you have some discrepancies, you could go back and correct whatever is needed. So that's another form. If you want that, you can have it. All right. Anybody need to go to the restroom? Take a quick 5-minute break. If not, I have to go to the restroom and I'll be right back. Okay? Don't make too much noise. Give me 5 minutes. I'll be back. I'll start back at 10:22. No, 20. No, I'm sorry. 10:32. Give me about 10 minutes. I'm back.
Hello.
I drink some water real quick. Let me see. I got 2 minutes. Whew. I'm trying to get my 10,000 steps in. Uh-oh. Where is... Oh, it must be right here. For those of you who are watching in YouTube land, put a question in the chat if you have one. For those of you who ask me about talking about your benefits, things of that nature, maybe I'll get a CSO or someone to come on and do a live stream on that. Let's see. Let me check the chat. Let's see who I have with me so I can make sure you all are accounted for. Let's see. Uh-oh. So I have chapter 39, treasurer, Arthur Cartwright. I have treasurer chapter 50, Renee Johnson, and I have chapter 55, Nate Knox. Let's see, make sure everybody else, I think I got already. And then I have a few people in the building, chapter 20 and chapter 13 and chapter 4. Okay. All right, I think everybody's back. Sorry. Let's get this party started. This is the same treasure, saved PowerPoint that I shared during the convention. So I'll share it again. Let me just add this side note. Follow you all for future reference, especially if you have chapter members aspiring to be commanders. If they didn't serve in the treasurer's role, I would recommend that you have those individuals start attending treasurer's training and adjutant's training. Too often we have individuals aspiring to be department commanders, but they've never either served or sat in any of those trainings. And therefore, we make simple errors that actually could be avoided if you kind of played the role along the way. And so because the treasurer and the adjutant are not positions that go up through the line to become commanders, usually when people or when comrades become commanders, they're doing, or their fiscal management practices are kind of out of bounds with the DAV Constitution and bylaws, or the IRS, or the state Department of Revenue. So it is good practice to have your line officers or those who are aspiring to be line officers either sitting on the training or actually serve in those positions. That's my word, and I approve this message. Usually it's just the person who's doing the work, the treasurer, and then the treasurer has to fight all the members in the line about best practices, when in actuality, if everybody's just sitting on the training, you would already know the do's and the don'ts to being a treasurer. So going forward, you might want to consider that in your leadership. All right, I'd like to start this training off with the mission. This time I started, I went straight to the DAV.org because that's the new procedures on the block. So let me just backtrack and share the mission of the DAV. We are dedicated to a single purpose, empowering veterans to lead high quality lives with respect and dignity. We accomplish this by ensuring veterans and families can access the full range of benefits available to them, fighting for the interests of Americans injured heroes on Capitol Hill, and educating the public about the great sacrifices and needs of veterans transition back to civilian life. Keyword: respect and dignity. When you're dealing with the finances of the DAV, sometimes it gets a little touchy, gets a little testy. Sometimes you got to push and you got to pull. However, no matter what you do, keep it respectful and always make sure you're showing a little dignity. Okay? Respect, respect, respect. It also says providing free professional assistance to veterans and their families in obtaining benefits and services earned through military service and provided by the Department of Veterans Affairs and other agencies of government. Providing outreach concerning its program services to American people generally and to disabled veterans and their families specifically. Representing the interests of disabled veterans, their families, their widow spouses, and their orphans before Congress, the White House, and the judicial branch, as well as state and local government. Extending DAV's mission of hope into the communities where these veterans and families live through a network of state-level departments and local chapters, and providing a structure through which disabled veterans can express their compassion for their fellow veterans through a variety of volunteer programs. That, my friends, was the missions of the DAV. I didn't write it, but make sure you keep it at the forefront of your duties and responsibilities and volunteer services to the VAV. All right, fundraiser approvals. By chapter approval, prior approval of the DC and possibly the NEC contracts or outside entities. So if you're a chapter and you want to do a fundraiser, there's a fundraiser form that has to be completed prior to and approved. Once you completed that fundraiser, you complete the bottom of the form, sharing how much you earn doing your fundraiser, and you make sure you get that back to the department. If by department, prior approval must be obtained by the 9th NEC. All fundraising requests must specify the particular service program which will benefit from the proceeds. This means that if you've created a flyer, on the bottom of that flyer, you need to have what program or services those funds will benefit. And as I go along, I'll share with you what DAV funds could be spent on. Forgive Me Not. Chapters may conduct Forgive Me Not drives for a period not to exceed 7 days throughout the membership year. And that membership year is July 1st through June 30th. So July 1st of the previous year through June 30th of the current year. Prior approval from the department is not required. So as long as a promoter is not involved. However, notification of the dates of the events must be provided to the department. Departments. A department may conduct a Forgive Me Not drive in areas where there are no local chapters without prior approval from the national organization. Very important. If you plan to cross party lines, get with that local chapter. If they don't mind you coming over, or if that you would like to participate, make sure that you coordinate with those chapters, or you would need approval to be able to do so. All funds generated from Forgive Me Not drives must be utilized solely for the purpose of providing service to disabled veterans, their dependents, and survivors, and other purposes. Golden Corral Military Appreciation Monday events are intended to be a department fundraiser. Departments, okay, so this particular Monday. That means that when you go down to Golden Corral, in some places the district share the responsibility and they separate it by weeks prior to by coordinating with the Golden Corral leadership there. That Monday, usually there's DAV buckets out, and individuals who eat there would donate. The department picks up that particular bucket. As long as we clear on that, you should be straight. Departments are responsible for determining the amount of funds to be returned to the chapters that participate in the fundraiser. Usually, this dollar amount is usually not a lot. The department usually just keep it in the fund and donate it to one of the DAV programs. However, if it becomes an issue, just, get with the department, and I'm sure they don't mind sharing the little dollar amount that they get. Maybe y'all might come out with a penny, but hey, it can be shared if you would like it. Okay. Departments are also responsible for selecting chapters to participate at local restaurants in their chapter. Usually the chapters kind of got this down pack with their local Golden Corrals. And so as long as things run smooth and there are no quarrels going on down there, we usually don't get involved. Usually the districts or the chapter themselves have a working relationship and they go on by their merry way. The only thing we ask that if you are going to have some type of fundraiser, that you do not do it in DAV apparel of any sort. So if you have chapter members that would do a fundraiser during that day, that Monday, and they donate to the chapter, make sure they are not in DAV apparel. Okay? It's not prohibited. It just means you can't be in DAV uniform of some sort. Not the hat, no shirts, no visors, no sneakers, no nothing. All right? And then we won't have to send the IG down there. Okay? Let me say that again. No fundraisers on Military Appreciation Night at Golden Corral in DAV clothing. Pass it on to your friends. Pass it on down through your districts. Okay. If there is a fundraiser for the chapter, you still have to make sure you complete that fundraiser form for approval. So either way it go, you have to contact the department. Bingo operations, NEC regulations 4 includes bingo as a program which must not operate at a loss and must be generated funds to support service programs. Coordinate entities are responsible for following all local and state requirements. Now, I know sometimes you guys see someone may have a bingo. If it's an isolated one time, one shot, one kill type of thing, usually not a problem. Don't have to get state regulators involved. But if you're actually trying to have a bingo hall at your chapter location or department, then that's a whole nother conversation. Make sure you get approval from nationals first and make sure you fill out the proper documentation from your state and local government. Again, your finance reports, July 1st through June 30th. September 30th is the deadline. And make sure, again, that $300 has changed to $500. And make sure you are doing these reports online at DAV.org. If you have not registered, make sure you register today or prior to submit your report. Don't forget your 990s. Anything under $50,000, you have to report. I mean, you can do the 990N. Any dollar amount over 50K, you either do the long form 990 or the 990EZ. If you're tackling it for the first time, make sure you give us a call. Myself or the adjutant can help you through it. The deadline, November 15th. However, you can process that form at any time after June the 30th. Amended tax year for all subordinate entities, July 1st to June 30th. Failure to file your tax exempt, especially if you haven't filed 3 consecutive years, they will revoke your exempt status and you would need to refile. In some cases, it may be $600. In others, it may be $275. If you've gone beyond the 15 months, I think that's when they charge you the $600. But those forms are available on DAV.org and instructions on how to, if you need help walking through it, instead of doing it over the phone, you may want to take a little trip to the department so we can do some hands-on, because sometimes communicating on the phone for something you're doing for the first time can be a little bit foreign. So I want to make sure that you get everything done correct and properly. And we usually here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, just give us a heads up that you're coming. And I'm in travel mode, so you definitely want to give me a heads up. How should we be using our donors' funds? At all levels, DAV is required as and has a moral and ethical responsibility to the general public to utilize their gifts in a manner consistent with the intention of their donations. Okay, Mo, what does that mean? As an organization, anytime we raise money in the name of DAV, we must ensure that those funds are spent on the DAV programs for which we are known for. If we are raising money for DAV 10 vans, those funds must be spent on vans. If we're raising money for local veterans financial aid, those funds must be used for that purpose. This is where a budget comes in handy. If you're in a chapter, if you're raising money, it has to have a purpose to it. And that purpose needs to be spelled out for your comrades, not just you as the commander or the executive committee, you and your line. That needs to be discussed with the entire body and voted on, right? And then how and where it needs to be spent. It says, what are acceptable programs to fund to be funded by DAV entities? So if you're going to spend money, here's where it is. DAV footprints and legacy as an organization has been built on service to veterans and their family members. So you got the NSF, that's the National Service Foundation, that's at Nationals, the Columbia Trust, what is that? The DSOs, CSOs, the vans, the HACs, the VAVS, and then you also have your hospitals, things of that nature. And so if you get confused and you're not really sure, you can revert back to Schedule 14, that one pager, and then have a list of all the different areas of DAV programs that you can send money or spend money on. And in addition to that, you have direct assistance to veterans and their families in our communities is what we are known for and are required to support. So nowhere on there you see the Boys and Girls Club, nowhere on there you see JRTC, nowhere on there you see, if you're going to donate to any organization, it needs to be exclusively supporting veterans, not veterans as an addition, open to the public and veterans. Nope, it needs to be exclusive to veterans. Okay. What are we prohibited from supporting?
Monique, Would
Yes.
like the veterans on nursing home, would that be doing something like for the veteran nursing home?
That nursing home is only veterans, right?
Right, yeah, the one like the one here in Walterboro, for example, the veterans nursing home here.
Then you okay. You can do it.
Okay,
Now, if that veteran home had veterans and other civilians, then
no,
no.
no,
Unless you
it's
was
all veterans.
unless you were there with, some type of if you was gonna do monetary, you was gonna do some type of items and you went specifically and gave to those veterans, then yeah. But
No,
if you
it's all veterans.
right, it needs to be, yeah, all veterans. That's the key word. So what are we prohibited from supporting? Other nonprofit organizations such as the Boys Scouts, the Girl Scout programs, GRTC program, churches, or other religious organizations, first responder organizations, civic groups, and political organizations. So just make sure it's exclusive to vets or DAV programs, preferably DAV programs. Can we financially support other veterans related charities? In general, no. We cannot provide funding to support the general purpose operations or profit from other charity. The only exception to this rule is if the other organization is sponsoring a local event which benefits veterans and their family members. Veterans should be recognized for, DAV should be recognized for their support. So, for example, when it gets close to Veterans Day, or usually around Memorial Day or Women's Veterans Day, organization may host an event specifically for veterans and their family members, and you would like to donate to that particular cause, that is acceptable. Right? As long as DAV is recognized for their support. And usually that recognition is acknowledgement letter. And it doesn't always have to be monetary. Maybe you donated some items of some sort and they recognize that in a letter. Okay. Very sticky situation. Someone always come up and end up donating to some place where they shouldn't. And then they get upset because we call you out. Just don't do it, y'all.
Monica,
Yes, sir.
sorry to interrupt. I mean, we would consider Reach Across America an entity that in turn supports veterans by placing flags and what have you, wreaths at the national cemeteries every year. And so I recognize it's a nonprofit. But what do you think your stand should be on that? Is that something we can financially support or not?
I think it's in this PowerPoint that we cannot. Yep, there it is right there.
Okay.
We they said no donations to support a program such as this is contributing directly to their general operations expense and the profit margin of their group. They are their own nonprofit organization and such can raise funds to support their programs, much like other organizations. If our donors wanted to give to go to, which is usually a program, the ACM, the Reefs for Fallen Veterans, they would have provided it directly to them. They gave to DAV, so we must use our funds on our programs. Unless you purchased reefs and then gave it to them, that type of thing, I don't see no way around this one. And this is from the DAV. Unless they have unless they change their stance on this is what they kind of put out. I know we used to donate to them as well, and we had to stop.
Well, we got our hands slapped a couple of years ago, and I just wanted to make sure that nothing's changed since then. That's all.
Yes, sir. No
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome. but they're not affiliated or provided a service to veterans and their families. You see, anyone can draw a line between any organization or a group and a veteran or family, but we need to be smart and reasonable and do our due diligence to research groups. Keyword, veterans only. So I just usually stick to the DAV programs, call it a day, unless I'm helping a needy vet. Reporting income and expenses. Wait, anybody got any questions on who and where you can donate? All right, keep the party rolling. Reporting income and expenses on your AFR. All income must be reported in detail. Specific fundraisers, grants, donations, and other gifts should be specific. Same for expenditures, but more detail is needed to ensure accountability. Most expense lines of the AFR requires a schedule. We went through that earlier. When in doubt, look at the schedule, read through the details, and usually you'll find the answer that you're looking for. If you don't, you can always contact us and we'll share with you that line item. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Quick question. We did a membership drive as part of the spring festival the town had. And during our membership drive, we received a few donations. But we did not have people, put their name and how much they donated. And now for the schedule, I just have it lumped together. It was only like $40.
Listed as in-kind.
I'm sorry?
Listed as in-kind donation.
Oh, I listed it as non-member donations.
Oh, that works too.
Okay. But going forward, will we have to have it by per each person's name and how much they're donating?
If that's possible, maybe you can run a running list, and if they want to write it down, you can keep like a running list at your table, and you can put their name and the dollar amount they donated, or you could just do it the way you're doing it. As long as you have proper accountability for the dollar amount, and just put non-member, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Because when you do Golden Corral, we don't write down everybody's name. We just we just make sure you got more than one member at the table. They verify the funds, they sign, this is what was received, and the dollar amount.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You can also go so far if you put the title as non-member, you could put the location. So if you say you was doing a Spring Fest, you could put Spring Fest non-member donations just to identify where those funds was collected from. You could do that as well. Common mistakes noted on the annual finance reports. Not providing recognition letters for donations made by the entity, not providing schedules, not providing the correct bank statements, excluding names of authorized bank signers and the bank names and location, service expense schedules, the name of the recipient, the purpose, and individual amount gifted. Incorrect reporting of membership dues from nationals. Not providing legal documents for bequest and trust. Not providing CPA reviews for entities over, which is now 500 of income. If you forget, you can always the amount from nationals.
I have a question.
Incorrect email. You can always email national and they will give you that amount. Yes, sir. Not providing legal documents for bequest and trust.
Yeah.
Not providing CPA reviews for entities over, which is now 500 of income. If you forget, you can always, the amount from national.
I have a question.
You can always email national, they will give you that amount, yes. So
Yes.
Yeah. Not providing entities over income.
We hear her back.
If you forget, you can always, the amount for national.
Keep repeating it. I got my hand raised.
Can you
I'm
please
listening.
unmute, please mute yourself unless you're directly talking.
Go ahead.
We have no idea who's talking. We can't hear the
We
question.
didn't get the question, they go
Can
back.
you please unmute, please mute yourself unless you're directly talking.
Go ahead. I think somebody by the name of Battle has a question.
We have no idea who's talking. We can't hear the question.
Get the question,
Can
they go
you
back.
please unmute, please mute yourself.
Oh,
I think somebody by the name of Battle has a question.
yes. Yes, my question was, somebody's talking. That's all. Okay, my question is, yeah. My question is if you're doing forgive me nots at the commissary or something like that, did I miss something? Are we required to get names of people that's making donations?
So for your group, okay, you go ahead. So for your, so okay, so when you're doing those donations, your forgive me nots, you out in the community, go ahead and mute, Mr. Battle, go ahead and mute.
Commissary or something like that.
You gotta mute.
Someone got a TV on in the background that they need to mute.
So for your group, okay, I got it. All right. If you're doing fundraiser membership drives, or you doing fundraisers, whether it's Go to Corral, Forgive Me Not, you out in the community, the department stores, you at a festival, wherever you are, and you're collecting those funds, you can just put the location that you are, in-kind donation, non-membership donations, get the sum total, make sure you have accountability of your two signers, accounting for the dollars, and use it and put it on file. If you're receiving checks, someone sent you a check of a donation, that would be by name, because that's an isolated donation. Again, if you're out of the location and you have a bucket on the table and individuals are just passing by, dropping money in the bucket, you don't have to do the by name list. You can label the location on line 9 and non-member donation, have a total count, and put that in that line item. And then your support and documentation would be your money count sheet of some sort and the signatures that justified that amount or verified that amount. So if I was at Columbia State Fair, me and Mr. Leon Good, and we were collecting funds, then we'd have our bucket throughout the day. Individuals would drop money in it. At the end of the day, Leon and I would take a money count sheet. We would verify the 5, 10s, 20s, and all the different coins. We would add it up. We would agree to the total. We would sign, and we would use that as our supporting documentation. We would have the deposit slip and make the deposit. If you have someone who passed and they decide to donate to your chapter, all of their donations, and you start to receive checks in, it says in memory of that veteran, they send you $50, they send you 100, they send you 100,000, then you would have a by name person and the dollar amount. If someone sends you $100,000 and they said, I want you to use this, put this in an endowment account, put this in a CD, or put this in a money market, always maintain the 100,000, and you can only use the interest. You make sure you document that in your minutes, make sure that you have that on file, and make sure that that information is always passed down so that your chapter or your department will always know that these are restricted funds that was given to the chapter or the department for a specific purpose by name. And always in the year in which you receive that, make sure that that letter goes up to nationals with your financial report as a supporting document. And you may want to update your bylaws. The easiest place I can see that you can maintain that information is in your constitution and bylaws, and you document that those funds were given by that person or that organization's name, how much it was, what was it intended purpose, and how much is to be sustained, so that it can always, that information can be always verified by the next leadership. And we won't ask 20 years down the line, what was that CD for again? Who said we had to keep that money? If you have funds in your chapter that you're just saving and it does not have a purpose, and it wasn't restricted, and you exceed that 3 times the expenses of the previous year, don't be surprised. Nationals come knocking at your door for a spend down plan. The only funds that you could keep if it's less than that three times that expense of the previous year are the funds that are restricted. In closing, DAV membership reporting liaisons are always available to help you and may have need to reach out to you for clarification on certain issues. Keep in mind, they're doing their jobs and not trying to make life difficult for you. The best way to prevent confusion and issues with your annual finance report is to keep consistent and up-to-date records of all income and expenses. All right, the only other thing I need to say is that if you are, make sure that you're using vouchers, meaning that you're getting for your income, you're getting the commander and the treasurer's signature on there, and expenses, commander and the treasurer, so that you can make sure that they understand and know what's coming in and what's going out. And those are previously authorized. Make sure that funding that is being used or being allocated, that you have a budget. If you don't have a budget, it's something that you may want to consider with your DAV funds, and that decreases the questions in your chapter of what we're doing and when we're doing it. And it also saves you time that you don't have to every meeting come back and ask for permission or get a vote on where to spend those chapter funds. And so remember that you are a nonprofit organization and you're governed by members, and that all funds being spent are to be voted on. I know y'all do y'all own little thing out there in the field, but Nationals is transparent a little bit more now. So don't be surprised if they start knocking at your door. You know, sometimes y'all just kind of let my little words go over y'all little head, but hey, keep a good fiscal practice out there in the field, and make sure that you are caretaking DAV funds according to DAV Constitution and bylaws. Nationals first, department second, and then your chapter. Make sure that you're running information through your chapters for a vote, and we'll be all good. Mr. Someone else got their hand up.
Looks like the hand was never taken down from the previous question.
Gotcha. All right. That's cool. I think that we've covered it all. Again, the website, DAV.org. Go down here to membership resources and quick links. Quick links is your friend, because quick links has a whole lot of resources, as you can see. And I'll just throw something in for those of you who don't know. If you're getting out in the field and if you're out in the field and you are doing membership drives and things of that nature, you can make sure you're using the
has a whole lot of resources, as you can see. And I'll just throw something in for those of you who.
This is a supply list that you can always email, and they ship within a week. You can email it to membership public at DAV. You got a question? Oh, okay. I'm gonna stop talking so you can. To membership public and DAV. You got a question? Oh,
Yes,
I'm gonna stop talking so you can.
yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If you have a laptop, if the chapter buys a laptop, and they also, if a laptop is donated to the chapter, how is the accountability tracked on those items?
You can keep you know how you have a key log? You can keep an asset log.
Yes, I have a question.
Signing in and out.
If you have a laptop,
you would have, if you purchased it within that fiscal year, then it would be on the equipment purchase for the fiscal year, and then after that, you can keep accountability with the log. You can keep and it goes on your asset report. Hold on. If it's over a certain dollar amount. Let me mute them. Hold up. Let me go to it. So that. Let's say that. Right here. On your other asset form, we got furniture and equipment. You keep the schedule. It's on this form right here. Hold on. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. on this one. This form right here. You put the dollar amount right here for whatever equipment you have, and then you could keep a just like a key log, you could keep a equipment log, and you could have whoever the person is signing in and out. So every year if you turn it over to the new person, new adjutant or new commander, you just have them sign it back in and then sign it back out. But for the year you purchased it, you put it on this form, other asset schedule. Yes, ma'am. Miss Johnson, you have another question?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to know, are there any requirements for filing within the state of South Carolina?
Yes, your charity document. Hold on, let me go back. Oh, it's not on here. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it on here. So you go to sos.sc.gov. Let's see if I can find the form. Here it is right here. South Carolina. If you need a sample, we can send it to you. Basically, you put on here you're renewing, you put the dates, you put your EIN. Oh, if you want to know your public charity number, you can go back. Let's see, online filings. I think, hold on. We want to search charity. Hold up. Let me go back. Go to menu. Stop that. Stop it. Online filings, charities and professionals. You scroll down, search all charities. Let's see how it. Now keep in mind, it's about 33 y'all out there. You just gotta look for yours. Which chapter 50? Let's see if I can find you. Because if you need your public number, if you don't see yourself on the list, then you can email charities at SCO. I'll get you the email address. And they will send it to you in an email. Your charity number, because you would need that to file. What's the name of your chapter?
It's Sherraw, chapter 50.
The name. Is name Sherraw?
Yes, CHERAW.
No, you have like a name, like mine is Woodrow Wilson.
Nope, just Sherraw, chapter 50.
Okay, I may have to call you after this so we can see. So we can contact the charity's office, and we'll find out. So I don't see it on the list. You probably may be following charities for the first time, and that's fine.
I know the IRS has been done, but I don't know if the state has been done. That's why I was asking if there was a requirement, because I don't see anything from what was passed to me.
It's okay. We could call them and we can verify.
Okay, and the
Can
last
can you go to
couple of
chapter
things.
20?
You're right here.
That's gonna be 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know the IRS has been done, but I don't know if the state has been done. That's why I was
There
asking.
we
Can I
go, right
finish
there.
my question? Because I don't see anything from what was passed through.
It's okay, we can also look at,
All right, Miss Johnson, you got another question?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to ask, you had done the Excel spreadsheets before,
Yes.
but now that we have to like break down, like the, member donations and stuff like that, are you planning on doing new spreadsheets or are we kind of on our own?
If you need me to help you, I'll do it for you.
Okay. And lastly, you had the audit committee's checklist and your PowerPoint. Can you email those out?
The orders for the supplies, this
No. The audit committee. The
audit. Oh yeah,
Right.
the Word
If-
document.
Yeah, if you could send that, and I wanted to know for your PowerPoint that you just presented, because I'd like to show that to our leadership. Can you send that?
Yeah, I can.
And I'm done. Thank you.
Ma'am. I wanted to share something out of the national bylaws, but I can email it. Let's see. It has something to do with the 3 years. Let's see what I did with it. Hold on, give me 1 second. Any other questions? For those of you who are veterans at this, you could probably teach the class. Let's see. Oh, I shared that. Let's see, there's something else I need to share with you on here. You can always find your national bylaws right here on that quick links as well. Again, let me reiterate. If your chapter has been revoked, if you don't know if your chapter has been revoked, if you, I can help you identify that. It's easy if you use your EIN number versus having to go through all of that list, because it's not easily identified if it's a chapter or auxiliary, because sometimes when they first filled it out, they didn't add that in. Hold on. Right here, usually you can find the IG's PowerPoint here, and it usually have treasurer information in the media. So, here it is in this section over here. So some of the information I have on this PowerPoint, what I would do is, when I go to midwinter, if they added something new, then I would take it and I would just keep adding to my slides. And so that's why some of my slides look different than the other, because I take the information straight from nationals so that I don't create my own. But DAV has a very useful website. And since I'm here, I might as well show you one last thing that's dear to the heart of the DAV, and that is the CAN. Make sure you guys are getting everybody to sign up for the Commanders Action Network. Oh, where's it? Hold on. How do I get to it? I forgot how to get to it. Let's see. Where is it at? I usually get to it from the legislative tab. Where did it go? Hold on, y'all. See, I'm over here trying to share something and I can't even get to it. They change the site sometimes and I get a little lost, but it's okay. I'll find it. Don't forget all the great services that the DAV provide. Because if I can't show you how to get to it, you sure can't show your people how to get to it. Where is it at? Oh, man. Oh, here we go. Legislation. There it is. It's okay. Let me go back. So if you go to member resources, if you stroll down here, go to legislation, go to DAV can. Very important, you guys. Sign those memos and get them out and make sure.
You go to members resources, go to the DAV, go to members resources.
Oh, that's why I just
Go to the alphabetical listing.
Alphabetical. Okay, so let me show y'all another way to get to it. Okay, hold on.
And I think it's
That
actually
Commander Miller. Go to member resources where
right there.
and
then go to the alphabetical listing. It's all the way at the bottom. There.
Yep. If you go to alphabetical
That gives you
listing, that's another one. That's another way.
I think it's actually Department of Veterans or DAV can right there.
Right here. So you can get, thank you, Andy. So you get to it this way as well. If you go to the alphabetical listing, and then you can get to everything that's on the quick links and other areas. If you forget, there's an alphabetical listed that can share everything about the DAV. That's why it's one of the number one organization, Veteran Service Organization, has everything here for you. But if you go to the CAN network, make sure your chapter members are logged on, and anyone can sign up for the DAV can. Hit sign up in the top right. All they need is their first name, last name, address, and email, and then they would start to get the emails of the legislation that's needed to go to your respective representatives. That's very important to us veterans. So if you're out there in YouTube world and you want to support us, go to DAV and sign up by National Cancer Network. All right, you guys. Any other questions? If you don't have anything else for me, just stop sharing my screen. Any questions? Oh, let me check the chat. Okay. All right. Right.
Thank you very much, Mo. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. No other questions. All right. So we expect everybody to get those finance reports in on time. September 30th is your deadline. Questions or concerns, preferably email, call if you have to. But Adjutant and I will stand by. Yes, sir.
Mine's a personal question. You still have that check hold that I gave you the wrong one? Commander 55.
What'd you give me? I don't know.
Remember